that dark well of this material existence, right? We can come out of it. So one of this rope is Sri Sampradaya. Like there are, this everybody has a Adi Guru for these Sampradayas. Like for example, for Rudra Sampradaya, the Adi Guru is Lord Shiva. For Kumara Sampradaya, four Kumaras, which are the sons of Lord Brahma. And then for Brahma Sampradaya, it is Brahmaji. And for Sri Sampradaya, it is Lakshmiji. And they are also having their representative acharyas to represent this Sampradaya, correct? So similarly, like for Sri Sampradaya, it is Ramanujacharya, the representative or the empowered Senapati, or what we call as like the leader of that Sampradaya, who spreads that knowledge in that particular Sampradaya. So Ramanujacharya, he was also known as, if you go to South India, it is said that he is not known as Ramanujacharya, but he is known as Emperor Manar. Its word is similar to emperor, kind of like Emperor Manar is like Kannada, I think their language word, like emperor of bhakti, or he is also known as Yatiraj, king of sannyasis. It is said that he had 10,000 sannyasis. How many? 10,000 sannyasis. Apart from other devotees, not even, sannyasis only 10,000. So he was also known as Bhashyakar. Bhashyakar because he has written, sutras, and he's written so many commentaries. So he was also known as Bhashyakar. So many names for him. He was born in the year almost like 1,000 years back, 1,008 years back, in 1017. That like thousands year back he was born, almost like I think 2017 was this 1,000 year, and then plus 8 years, so 1,008 years. He was born in a place called as Perambutur, very near to Kanchipuram. His father's name was Keshav Somyaji, and his mother's name was Kantimati. So what happened is, when he was born, his father passed away early. So, mother gets worried, she is alone. So she thinks that, because this Ramanujacharya always showed symptoms of bhakti. So parents get scared, and so she got him married at a very early age, and he had a wife called as Rakshamba. Her name was Rakshamba. She was not a good devotee. I mean, like she was a Brahmana, but not like devotional qualities were lacking in her. So Ramanujacharya also said to come and break the teeth of Mayavada completely, because when he was born, that time Mayavadi philosophy was very prominent there, very, very prominent. Shankaracharya's philosophy was very prominent. And, what does impersonalism talk about? They talk about God doesn't have a form, God doesn't have, we all are God, we just have to realize that. So many wrong things were propagating at that time. And Ramanujacharya came and completely smashed all the Mayavada philosophy. In fact, he had taken a local guru to learn Sanskrit, and he was actually scholar, the guru was a scholar. He had taken Yadvacharya as a guru, but later on he realized that that local guru was also a Mayavadi philosopher, but in a subtle way. Before he didn't realize that, but after associating with him, we'll also see those past times. How did he realize that, and what did he do after that? So yes, as we said that, Ramanujacharya has come to break down the philosophy of Mayavada. So he had, there were 3 types of Mayavada actually at that time. It was very, very interesting, because this is mind-boggling, or the word jugglery. They used to use a lot of word jugglery for describing them. So it used to feel like as if they are talking about the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but it was not. So the first Mayavadi is directly, Jagat Mithya. He broke that philosophy, first Maya. Second one is Bhaskaracharya philosophy. Now this Bhaskaracharya was very clever. What he said that Lord and Jivas are real, but rest everything is mithya. Rest everything is false. That also he broke. And the third one is Bheda Bheda Siddhanta. Bheda Bheda Siddhanta. This is not Advaita philosophy, but Bheda Bheda. And that is what his guru, that Yadvacharya was spreading. That also he did the Khandan. Khandan meaning cut off these three types of philosophies which was prevailing at that time. And it was very interesting that when he was writing that Vedanta Bhashya, he was he went, because Shankaracharya had hidden those scriptures in Kashmir. Because if the scriptures were to be revealed, then Mayavadi philosophy will get ended. So Shankaracharya had hidden that philosophy in Kashmir. So one time Ramanujacharya went to Kashmir with his disciple Kuresh, and he wanted to retrieve those, all the Vedanta, he wanted evidences for writing that Vedanta Sutra or giving the evidence for his writing. So those were hidden in Kashmir. And the pujaris or the pandits were ready to give, but there were some Mayavadi philosophers who did not want, Ramanujacharya and Kuresh to take that. Because if they take it, what will happen? Mayavadi will have an end, because this will prove that, this is all false. So they tried to kill them and take away the scriptures from them. And that time, just before he came to know about this, Ramanujacharya told his disciple Kuresh to read all the scriptures within a night. So he learnt all the scriptures, all the evidences. Within a night he memorized all that. And then when they were coming back, they were attacked and he gave away all the scripture. But still Kuresh could remember everything. He was blessed with that memory, to memorize everything. So that's how, he came and he wrote that Sri Bhashya. He gave evidences for his Sri Bhashya based on the scriptures or the sutras. So, and he had very wonderful disciples of his, like we have Kuresh, then we have Dasharathi. Like I remember, I had the good fortune to visit South India Yatra with my Guru Maharaj in the year 2007, I believe. And that was the year our Guru Maharaj took us to Perambuttur, that birthplace of Sri Ramanujacharya. And I was a very new devotee that time. I didn't know anything. But after, during those times, we were not, the lectures used to go on for 4 hours or 5 hours continuously. Maharaj used to give the classes. And, in that place, I think it was very, magical place, I would say. Because Maharaj started with the class and it was a pin drop silence. Everybody was paying attention to the class. And after 2-3 hours, or I think almost 4 hours or something, the class was over. And I could see that everybody was crying in the class. Everybody was shedding tears, because the pastimes of Ramanujacharya are so loving and touching with his disciples. The level of humility, the level of their devotion is next level. We cannot even understand. And I'm sure during that year, whoever attended the class and, in that place, something changed in their life forever. Something changed in their heart forever. I can guarantee, because everybody was crying in that class. So this is the power of the, this is 1,000 years back, but we still, now also we have that potency of that place. If we go, we can get so much out of that place, so much out of, that level of humility, the level of devotion. It is way beyond. So, Ramanujacharya was given the name Ramanuja, and actually this was identified by Sri Shailapurna. Shailapurna is one of the disciple of Yamunacharya. He was brother to Kantimati. So he recognized that his name should be given as Ramanuja. Why Ramanuja? There's a very interesting thing. Because before having Kantimati and Keshav Somyaji, before getting this child, they had prayed a lot. They had prayed a lot to get a child who will be empowered, and they did lot of austerities for that. And as a blessing, they could, Ananta Shesha, or the first, the Balramji, that incarnation entered Kantimati's home, and Shailapurna could understand that, and he said that he should be named as Ramanuja. Ramanuja, Anuja meaning younger brother, or Anu means to follow, Ja, follow, one who follows. So that name was very perfect. The one who follows Ram is Ramanuja. So that's why he was named as Ramanuja. But he was incarnation of Anantashesha. Anantashesha, and that is proved in two of the examples of, there are, like, as I say that Ramanujacharya's pastime is so many that within this 20 minutes or 30 minutes you cannot say all this, you need at least 2-3 days to say all these pastimes. But yes, he had wonderful qualities. Ramanujacharya, one of the best quality from his childhood, he displayed that he did not have discrimination with the basis of birth. Like, for example, when he was born, at that time there were a lot of Smartha Brahmins. So they used to discriminate people based on the caste system. Like, okay, you are born in a Brahmin family, you are a Shudra family. But Ramanuja did not believe in that. And he displayed with his own example, because he was very close to Kanchipurna. So Kanchipurna is supposed to be born in a Shudra family. But Ramanujacharya had identified that he was a very, very great Vaishnava. So he was very close to Kanchipurna and always used to meet him, talk to him, inquire about Supreme Personality of Godhead. So they used to have a lot of conversation. And, and many people used to treat, even in India right now also it is predominant that, if you are born in a Brahmana family, they treat you as a Brahmana, but others they don't, treat well. There are so many restrictions in the temple also. But Ramanujacharya, believed, there is a Bengali saying which says, like, Suchi hai, Muchi hai, Yadi Krishna Tyaje, Muchi hai, Suchi hai, Yadi Krishna Bhaje. The highest born Brahmana will be less than or lower born Shudra if he gives up the worship of Krishna. So even though you are born in a highest family as a Brahmana, but you give up the worship of Krishna, then you are lower than a Shudra. But on the contrary, if somebody born in a very low family, even to a Chandala or a, like very, very tribe of dog eating, very low family, but you have surrendered to lotus feet of Krishna, then you are a highest or a pure bhakt, devotee, right? So that is what the Shastra says. But in those times, the smart Brahmanas were very staunch. They used to not believe this. But Ramanujacharya used to believe that. And he used to call this Kanchipurna many times to his house for prasadam. He used to tell him to come and honor prasadam at my place. He used to request him so many times. But Kanchipurna always told him, oh no, I am a Shudra. I should serve you. You should not serve me. But the words of Ramanujacharya was so strong. He said that if me being a Brahmana is hindrance to the service, then this is a curse for me to being a Brahmana. I don't want this. Like, I want to serve you. But because I'm a Brahmana and I'm not able to serve you, this is a curse for me, not a blessing. But these were his words, talking to Kanchipurna. And many times since he was insisting, one time Kanchipurna happened to come to Ramanujacharya's house to, for prasad. And Ramanujacharya was away from the house. And what happened is, his wife, served him the prasadam, but she was not a very, as we discussed, that she was not very great devotee. She was a good Brahmana wife, like, they had so many rituals. She used to follow the rituals, cleaning, this, that, all the rituals what Brahmanas did, she used to follow, but no bhakti at heart. So when Kanchipurna came for prasad, she treated him like a Shudra, and then she fed him the prasad. But after he left the house, she washed down the whole house, thinking that it has become Ashuddha, or it has become, like not good. Yes. So when Ramanujacharya came home and he saw that all this thing happened to Kanchipurna, he couldn't accept it. So what he did is he sent a wife to her mother's place, and at the back he took sannyas. So that is what he did. So as we say that, after some time, Ramanujacharya also accepted a local guru, because he wanted to learn Sanskrit and he wanted to learn all the vidhi for worship and all the mantras and all the verses, everything. So he took a local guru. In the beginning, he showed very good qualities. His name was Yadvacharya. Yadvacharya or Yadav Prakash is local guru's name. So what happened is, in the beginning, he was talking nicely, but later on, slowly Ramanujacharya understood that he is also a Mayavadi philosopher. So he was always, silently preaching that God has no form, God has no name, all this philosophy he was promoting. It was very, Ramanujacharya was not happy. He did not come to learn all these things. He wanted something different, but he was very disappointed with this. But he did not quit immediately. He did not quit. He still continued serving. And one time, but Ramanujacharya, whenever he got an opportunity, when they are talking about Mayavadi philosophy, he stood and he presented his views always to his guru. So one time, his guru was quoting an aphorism from Atreya Upanishad. He said that Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. So Satyam meaning absolute truth, Jnanam meaning knowledge, Anantam meaning unlimited, and Brahman meaning ultimately God, right? So what his guru said, what that Yadvacharya said, that his interpretation was very interesting. He said that since a cow cannot simultaneously have no horns, broken horns or full horns, similarly God at the same time cannot have form and be formless, cannot have qualities and be without qualities, cannot be near and cannot be far. This duality cannot exist. So his guru started talking like that, and Ramanujacharya was very disturbed when he heard this. He, we all understand that, as a Vaishnavas, we understand that Lord lives in his abode, but Lord also lives near to us as in the form of Paramatma. But his guru was completely propagating the wrong things. So Ramanujacharya immediately stood up and, he bowed down to his master and said, I have something to offer. He said, if you see a flower, if you look at the flower in this world, the flower has a color, the flower has a texture, like the color may be like pink or red. It has texture, it is soft, right? You can feel the texture. And it has, also it has fragrance. So a flower can have all the three things at the same time. So how can we say that the Supreme Personality of Godhead cannot have all the qualities at the same time? Like, he also gave the example of a sun. Sun planet also have heat and light, right? How can this be together, right? Because it is all coming from Krishna. So if this material things can have this, why not Supreme Personality of Godhead? So he completely, he said that, the variegatedness exists. The Lord exists, the Lord's form exists, everything has a name, form, qualities, pastime of the Lord exists. But, Yadvacharya was propagating the wrong philosophy. So then he was very upset with that, and he said that, Yadvacharya took a note in his mind that, this disciple of mine is not what I want. I need to take care of him. This is the first incident. And second incident was even bad. Like one time he was quoting Chandogya Upanishad. In that he said, Tasya yata kapyasam pundarikam eva akshani. And then he gave, actually the meaning of that is, Pundarikak, Pundarikak means lotus, Akshani means eyes, Kapi means monkey, Asam means rare part. So this was the interpretation of Yadvacharya, wherein he said that Lord's lotus eyes are like, reddish like the rare part of monkey. Like if you've seen monkeys in Vrindavan, they have, some reddish in the rare part of their body. So his eyes are like that. And, Ramanujacharya was massaging the lotus feet of his guru. And when he heard that, he couldn't speak. And tears, he was crying, and, hot tears fell on the feet of his guru. Why they were hot? Because he was distressed. That's why it was hot. So when, he was massaging, and then suddenly his guru notices that, why some water is kind of falling on my legs. So he looked at him and he said, why are you crying? He said, Lord has given you eyes. Lord has given you intelligence. Why are you so shameless? Why are you describing that in such a bad way? So Ramanujacharya gives his way of interpreting that. He says that, Kapi means, externally means monkey, but it is split into two. Ka means water, and Pi means drinking, or pibati, or drinking. So, what is that which drinks water? He gave two examples. One is a lotus flower, and the second is the sun. So he says that, Lord's lotus eyes represent the, lotus flower, or it represents the brilliance of the sun. Like why sun? Why Kapi? It is said that we go out in the sun takes the water out of us, it takes the water out of us, so we feel tired. So that means he is the one who drinks the water. Or what is the other thing? A lotus also drinks. The stem is in the water and drinks water, right? So it can be said in this way, not like the rare part of monkey's body. So he was very much disturbed, and but then like that Yadvacharya could not defeat him. He could not defeat. Then he thought like, okay, now this is the end of my patience. I need to do something with this Ramanujacharya. So he, because he thought like it is a threat to his philosophy and threat to his position. So he called all his disciples, and they did a conspiracy wherein they thought like, okay, let us kill Ramanujacharya because he's threat to my position and threat to this philosophy. So what they did is they cannot just go and kill him like that. So they thought like, okay, let us plan something. So they thought like, okay, all the disciples came together and said, let's go to Ganga, which is in the north side. We'll take bath in Ganges. So, and Ramanujacharya was young and very innocent. So he said, okay, let's go. But he didn't know that they are planning to kill him. So when they were going there, actually Ramanujacharya had a cousin. His name is Gopala. So Gopala came to know about this conspiracy, and he wanted to stop Ramanujacharya going with them. But what happened is the disciples plan it in such a way that they always separated Ramanujacharya and Gopala. So they could not meet, and Gopala could not tell that what is going on. And as they proceeded, but by will of providence, what happened is one point of time, Ramanujacharya was left behind because he had to attend a nature's call. And he was left behind from the other disciples of his guru. So that time Gopala got a chance to meet with Ramanuja, and he told him that, okay, don't go with them. They are planning to kill you. They will push you in Ganges and they want to kill you. So then Ramanujacharya definitely believed in his cousin. So he started walking back. But while walking back, from north to south, they are almost there. But from north to south, it's a huge jungle, and he didn't know the way. So there he meets with a hunter couple, and he asks them, "Do you know the way to go back?" They say, "Yeah, come with us." And this hunter couples, day and night they are coming back, together. So like in few days, Ramanujacharya was sleeping, and that time this hunter couples the wife says that I am thirsty. So the husband says, no, no, it's not, it's midnight now, just wait for tomorrow morning, I'll give you the water. I'll get the water from that kunda which is nearby and I'll feed you. So Ramanujacharya just hears that, and then all are sleeping. So morning when he wakes up, he looks for this hunter couple and he finds that they are not there. So he goes to that where the water is there and the river or whatever, he goes there and looks for them, and then he couldn't see them anywhere. And then finally he finds some brahmanas near the uh, place, and then he asks them, I want to go to Kanchipuram, so how can I go? And he sees a nearby village wherein there were like some brahmanas walking around and all that, some busy village kind of thing. So that brahmana whom he inquired, he says, "Oh, this is Kanchipuram, this is the place." And then he thinks that I took so many days to go to the north, to go upwards, while coming back within few days, how did I reach here? Then he realizes that those people, that hunter couple, was actually Lakshmi Narayan, who guided him back to Kanchipuram. So they brought him back to Kanchipuram. So there were many other instances where they try, this Yadvacharya tried to kill Ramanujacharya by feeding poison in, this Charanamrita and all that. But he is Ananta Shesha. What poison can kill him, right? So, like there are many. Then he left Yadvacharya and he met with many disciples of Yamunacharya. Actually, what all he learned in his life is all the teachings of Yamunacharya. There were like many disciples of Yamunacharya who he came in contact with, like Goshti Purna, Kanchipuram, Maladhar, Vararanga, and Mahapurna. So he took initiation from Mahapurna later. But all these great disciples of Yamunacharya shared all their valuable knowledge to Ramanujacharya. So this is how, like, he was very focused and very surrendered. In his life, he was always serving, Ramanujacharya. So he actually said that he wrote 9 Sanskrit books. The first one, like when he met Mahapurna, Mahapurna was so impressed with him and he wanted to take him to Srirangam, where Yamunacharya is there. Right? He wanted to make him meet with his guru. But when they reached there, they came to know that Yamunacharya already left his body. And some very special thing happened during that time, wherein when they reached Mahapurna and Ramanujacharya reached there, Yamunacharya. Now this is Yamunacharya, not Yadvacharya. Yadvacharya, he had given up already. Yamunacharya is great devotee of Lord who was worshipping Srirangam. So then when he comes there, he finds that the 3 fingers are curved like this. Even though he is dead, the 3 fingers were curved. And all the disciples were trying to figure out what is it, why the 3 fingers are curved, even though he is dead. So then, Ramanujacharya understands and he gives 3 promises to Yamunacharya. The first promise is that I will write Vedanta Sutra or Sri Bhashya, commentary on Vedanta Sutra. And then 1 finger of Yamunacharya opened. Then he also said that, I will spread this message of Vaishnava philosophy far and wide. The 2nd finger opened of Yamunacharya. And the 3rd, he said that I will glorify and spread the glories of Parashar Muni according to Upanishad. So 3rd finger opened up, and then they understood, all the disciples were there. There are so many disciples were there. They understood that this Ramanujacharya is the new, in charge of the Vaishnava cult or follower of Yamunacharya. He will take his teaching he will carry on with the teachings of Yamunacharya. He is the leader for all of us. Like that they understood. And it is said that Ramanujacharya lived on this earth for 120 years. Total 120 years he was here on the earth. and he taught all the people through his disciples. He had very wonderful disciples, so he taught everybody with his, by the setting example through his disciple. And he gave many instructions. Actually, it is said, it is very interesting, when he was, almost giving up his body, he took Kuresh's son and Dasharathi along with him to the temple in front of, and then he said, Kuresh's son Parashar will take care of, will be my follower, like successor. He will spread the Vedanta philosophy. And then he put his head on Gopala, his cousin brother, and his legs on Dasharathi, and he was ready to leave. He was in the samadhi. He was almost ready to leave his body. But all the disciples started crying very profusely. So he came back to life. He came back to life and he said, why are you crying? You know, why are you crying? This is like, that we are not this body. Why are you lamenting? Do you know the knowledge? We are not this body, and the body is not here to endure forever. So, fix your heart, so you will, this weeping will not help you in any way. So, fix your heart on the lotus feet of Krishna. And am I not in your heart? Like that he tells his disciples. There was 700 residing sannyasis at that time. And this, the sannyasis said, please give us some instructions. And at the end of his life, meaning he was just passing away, he gave actually 74 instructions, very basic instructions, if you go to read them, very basic instructions. But, prominent one was like, it is said that the prominent one was like, he said that, you have to cooperate. You have to treat, you have to cooperate. Come what may not, you should be always united, because this Maya Shakti is very strong. It will not attack from outside, but it will attack from within. So you have to be united. This was his first instruction. He also said that all the devotees should respect each other, like how you respect the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You have to respect each other. Serve spiritual master and all the Vaishnavas with humility and patience. And then he said, always study scriptures, like that Sri Bhashya, what commentary he has written, he told to study that. So he gave like 74 instructions, I think, and then all his sannyasi disciples took them very seriously, and they also compiled some books on that. So this is the life of Srila Ramanujacharya. I also want to give the scriptures what he has written. There were total 9 scriptures he had written. They are very interesting. There are some devotees, I think they are also reading the scriptures, if I am not mistaken. First one is Sri Bhashya, which ended Mayavadi. Then he wrote Gita Bhashya. Then he wrote Vedanta Sar. Vedanta Sar is like all the Upanishads together, but then they said they want something simple. So then he wrote Vedanta Sangraha. Then he wrote Vedanta Dip, in philosophy in an easy way. Then he wrote Nitya Dhyana Vidhi, beginner's guide kind of thing to Vaishnavism. He also wrote Tri Gadyam. That Tri Gadyam is Sri Ranga Gadyam, Sharanagati Gadyam and Vaikunta Gadyam. So total, he wrote all these 9 scriptures and many more, but these were the prominent ones. So this was the life of Ramanujacharya. Hari Bol. Srimad Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Any questions? Any questions, any comments?
Prabhupada told one story about Ramanujacharya. He was with, what was his name? The guru?
Yadvacharya.
No, the other one. Kanchipuranam?
Kanchipuram, yes.
So Kanchipuranam at one time told Ramanujacharya, I'm going to tell you a mantra that if you chant this mantra, you're going to be liberated.
I think that is Goshti Purana told that.
Huh?
Goshti Purana said.
Okay, Goshti Purana, yeah.
Yes.
Goshti Purana, the names.
Yeah.
And the mantra was Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, right? So, he told them, chant that and you're going to be liberated, but the condition is you can't share this with anybody else. I'm telling this to you, don't share it with anybody else. But it's very powerful, and if you do chant it, you'll be liberated. and anybody who chants this mantra could be liberated. So Ramanujacharya, he thought about it and said, well, if I could be liberated, if anybody could be liberated, I just have to share it with everybody else. So he went up on top of a building or maybe the temple or something like that, and he shouted out to everybody, hey, everybody listen, I'm going to tell you this mantra, you know. And he shouted out the mantra, and then word got back to, what's his name? Goshipurna, and he was not upset. He was not upset. He said, actually, you disobeyed my instruction, but you're a greater devotee than me. You just couldn't help but, out of compassion, share it with all these other people. Anyway, Prabhupada told that pastime in one of his classes, maybe more than once.
There is also very beautiful pastime of Kanchipurna. Kanchipurna used to worship Varadraj. So he used to fan him. He used to dip the fan, peacock feather fan, and used to chamar Lord Varadev, because in south it is very hot during the summer season. So he was fanning, and I think some devotees asked Kanchipurna, like, when can I go back to Godhead? And he had a special privilege to talk to Varadraj. So he used to talk to Varadraj when he used to fan, and he used to tell about all the devotees. This devotee has asked when he can go back to Godhead. And then Varadraj used to answer, oh, maybe in another 1 or 2 years he'll come back to me. And then one fine day, he remembered that he has to ask about himself, Kanchipurna. So Kanchipurna asked, Lord, when can I go back to Godhead? And Varadraj said, why will you go back to Godhead? You have not served any Vaishnava. So immediately he keeps down the fan, and he said, I am going to serve the Vaishnavas. So he kept down the fan. He left the service of Lord, and he came and he started worshipping Mahapurna and all that, great devotees like that. So all this was kind of taught to Ramanujacharya from the very young age, because he was always associating with Kanchipurna. So these pastimes are so amazing, so amazing. You feel like keep listening to them. It's like that much beautiful pastimes. Yes, thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji. Yeah, please take. Yeah.